And it's significant because of, that area of the body, the Achilles, and the stature of Anthony Davis. And, I'm told that, the conversations even before the MRI today among Anthony Davis and Rob Pelinka, Lakers Medical, and Anthony Davis's agent, Rich Paul, was that they're going to be conservative now on his return to play. I'm told 2 to 3 weeks before they reevaluate it. And then we're up against the midseason break, that March 5th to 10th All-Star break. And I'm told to not expect Anthony Davis back prior to that. It'd probably be unlikely to participate then in the All-Star game. But they don't want this to linger. They want to get this behind him. And listen, he re-aggravated it last night in the game against Denver. And Anthony Davis, had said he had felt good that day. He had felt pain-free. But clearly now they're going to take their time with this injury and understand that whatever they might lose in the standings about Anthony Davis, the end game is having him healthy long-term and certainly healthy for the postseason.
Okay, we will see if this also changes potential plans now with the All-Star break there extending into the NBA trade deadline. Woj will have much more on a couple of big men later on in the show. Woj right now with the very latest on Davis, and this gives you an idea. I mean, the impact of Davis is a big one for the defending champs. The Lakers have outscored their opponents by nearly 15 points per 100 possessions when AD and LeBron share the court. That would be the best net efficiency in the league by far. There's a significant drop-off when LeBron is on the court without Davis. For much more on the impact of this injury to AD, back to PTI with Tony and Mike.
All right, Wilbon, what does Anthony Davis's injury mean for the Lakers?
Trouble, Tony. I mean, bigger trouble the longer it goes in the long few games and into the playoffs. Maybe not so much trouble. They'll still be favored. You still got the MVP in LeBron. But, Tony, you can't do it without your second best player, without Anthony Davis. Even when you have pieces like Schroeder, who's found a home in a marvelous way, Montrezl Harrell, who came over as a free agent, Horton Tucker, a new kid in the lineup, Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the pieces fit wonderfully. But Anthony Davis is the second piece. And you got a stacked Western Conference out there, and you got to navigate that, and you don't want LeBron to have to play too many minutes. That's been a controversy already. How many minutes is LeBron playing? Well, if he's out there without Anthony Davis, it's going to be too many minutes. So I just as a basketball fan, I hope Anthony Davis is healthy enough to be Anthony Davis by the time the Lakers get to the playoffs.
Okay, so here is what I would worry about. I would worry that this is a chronic injury. Anthony Davis has missed a bunch of games in his career. He's not LeBron. Nobody is LeBron. He's missed games. He gets hurt. Got hurt a little bit in New Orleans, gets hurt a little bit with the Lakers. I would worry that this is something that he'll play a little bit and it'll get hurt again. And then it'll be like Kevin Durant, where they said of Kevin Durant that he had a high ankle sprain. The next thing you know, it was his Achilles and he was out for a full year. They're saying this is a calf strain. This could be the next thing you know, it's an Achilles and he's out for a whole year. And I wonder about this. Again, not with LeBron. Anthony Davis played deep into the fall.
Brewing. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? We'll talk about that. Plus, there's a flop artist in the NBA. And according to some folks, the number one nemesis is LeBron James. Also, an injury to Anthony Davis. Could this ruin the Lakers' title hopes? All that and more coming up. First Takes in the house. I told y'all the weekend's over, so you know what time it is. Let's go.
Here is Anthony Davis on the right wing. Davis fouled by Jokic.
Reaching down.
AD's holding his right Achilles. It's if he's re-injured it, and he pulled up on it hard. I think he could be done for the night.
There's always next man up. No matter who's out. We're not asking anybody to pick up what AD does. You can't do that. It's impossible. He's a special player and a special talent for a reason. So, everyone individually has to, pick up their play for the collective of the team, in AD's absence. So we look forward to that challenge.
Yep, the weekend is over and we have a lot to talk about. Everyone, welcome on into First Take on this Monday. I'm Charlie Arnold. We got Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith in the house. Both of you looking very dapper this morning. Although, Stephen A., I must say, a little disappointed to not see you with your man bag. I know that's your style staple these days, but we'll move on from that because, guys, we have injuries on two championship contenders. that happened over the weekend. First, KD, he's in Brooklyn. He has a strained hamstring, but you just heard from LeBron, so let's go to LA and focus on the injury with AD. Now, last night, Anthony Davis was pulled from action after the first half, after the Nuggets, and aggravating the tendinosis in his right Achilles. He will now undergo an MRI today. That according to a source telling our agent Wojnarowski. The big man missing 2 games earlier this week for the same issue with his right Achilles. And the Lakers, they did go on to fall 122 to 105 to the Nuggets. So Stephen A., let's start with you here. What was your first reaction after hearing about AD's injury?
My first reaction after hearing about Anthony Davis aggravating his right Achilles is that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win the NBA championship. That's the first reaction that I had, Max Kellerman. My reaction is that it's the Lakers, as far as I'm concerned, are the only team standing in the way of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden winning the chip. And I've dismissed the Eastern Conference, and I don't mean any disrespect. Philadelphia has vastly improved. Milwaukee is not a team to ignore. I get all of that. But the bottom line is I'm looking at James Harden right now. The brother's averaging 23, 11, and 8 on 48% shooting, 38% from three-point range. I don't need to get into Kevin Durant's number. It's at 29%. I'm worried about his hamstring strain or whatever. Keep an eye on that. But I'm as long as he's healthy, I'm looking at it along those lines. And Kyrie Irving is just playing like the superstar talent that he is. He is putting on a show night in and night out. Now, when he takes a hiatus or whatever, you get worried because that could be distraction. We understand that. But when this brother is on the court, he is something spectacular to behold. They're the number 1 offense in the NBA. They're absolutely, positively unstoppable. And it's going to take an elite team on both ends of the floor to knock them off. We've got elite defensive teams in the NBA. We've got elite offensive teams in the NBA. What we don't have outside of the Lakers in our mind, due to LeBron James, what we don't have is a team that has both, other than the Lakers. That's how we view them. And so when I look at Anthony Davis, LeBron is as sensational as he's been, particularly from three-point range. That was before February. In the month of February, he shooting like 28% from three-point range. So it's dipped a little bit. Obviously, he's not doing what he's been doing for the first month and a half of the season from three-point range. But I still look at it and I say LeBron will be just fine. He'll be there when it counts, but he needs AD. And without AD, the Lakers have no chance of winning the championship. And if the Lakers have no chance, then who the hell is going to beat Brooklyn? That answer is absolutely, positively no one. And so when I heard about Anthony Davis, and I saw that Achilles strain, and I don't think, Max, he should be playing for the next month. I think he should be out at least a month. Don't even play with it. Let him sit down. No all-star, no nothing. He doesn't need to be playing for at least another month. And these guys need to get away from wearing them damn low-top sneakers. Wear some high-top sneakers, for crying out loud. That might help you a little bit, too. Go old school. Stop doing this stuff.
With Chuck Taylor? What do you want?
Max, put up the boots. Wear boots, for crying out loud. Do something. But in the end, the first thought that came to my mind is the Brooklyn Nets are going to win the NBA championship if Anthony Davis can't go.
That's not where my mind went. My mind went right to the Western Conference. First of all, let me just address your Nets point. The fact that Kyrie approaches James Harden and says, "You're the point guard, I'm off guard," is exactly right. It's self-serving in a way because Kyrie gets to shoot more. But the reason Harden's better than Kyrie really is because he has better judgment with the ball. His judgment's better than Kyrie. He's a more mature player. But in terms of just spectacular skills, Kyrie is even better than Harden. I mean, in terms of scoring the ball, I know Harden's an amazing scorer, but this is the best allocation of their resources. Harden's taller, so you think of him more as a two-guard and Kyrie shorter. But in fact, Kyrie got that right. And so I think they're going to benefit from that kind of understanding of roles. I think what we saw from DeAndre Jordan last week was important because if he can be the defensive player in the paint, and they don't have to play 5 out, they can play 4 out with Joe Harris and the big 3. They don't need to play Jeff Green at the 5. If DeAndre Jordan can be that guy to secure those defensive boards, the Nets could get out of the East. But Stephen A., that's not necessarily the situation we have right now with the Nets. We're hoping that they can get there. Right now, they're giving up more points than is possible to get to a finals. Let me say why my mind goes to the Western Conference. If the Lakers don't have AD, and I agree with you, take a nice long rest till it is better. If the Lakers don't have AD, they not only have to contend with Denver, who got playoff experience last year and just smoked them without AD, the Denver team that came back on the Clippers that wasn't ready for the Lakers last year, they're not getting by that Denver team without AD, obviously. What about Utah right now? I'm going to get to them a little bit later in the show. The Clippers. You keep talking about Kawhi came to LA and he targeted LeBron. That's true. But last year, in fact, they didn't have quite enough. They needed a point guard to organize the offense. I felt they didn't wind up with it. They didn't get Rondo in the offseason, so I thought, no, I'm not worried about the Clippers. Paul George can't be a good enough Robin to Kawhi's Batman. But Stephen A., they did a couple of things. They brought in Serge Ibaka, which we both felt was a marginal improvement over Montrezl Harrell. They can both defend, but Ibaka can also block shots and shoot from the outside.